Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another beautiful morning here at Congregation Beth Yeshurun, where we study Rabbi Wolbe on Chumash, teachings that my grandfather shared over the years in this incredible book. You're all welcome to join us. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. And for all of you here today, it's so wonderful to be back. Sorry I wasn't here last week. So, in this week's Parsha, we learn about the most incredible revelation ever to be placed in front of any people at any time in the history of the world. You have God Himself. God doesn't speak, and God doesn't have a mouth, right? But God speaking to the Jewish people, and them experiencing the commandments being related by God directly to us. That's very important. We're going to talk about this in a different Parsha minute, why specifically it needed to be in public. We see all other religions, whatever their claims are to be divine or to be a godly religion, if you realize it's always an individual who had a revelation. It's never a mass of people, right? Muhammad had a dream, and the others, the other religions, it's all by an individual prophecy. Here, it's a revelation to a mass of 3 million, over 3 million people are experiencing the exact same revelation, and they're all experiencing that enormous experience, that enormous revelation. So the question would be, and then we have the Ten Commandments in this week's Parsha. The question would be, in which Parsha would you choose to put it in? I would say that probably the best name of the Parsha to put the Ten Commandments is like Moses. Name the portion Moses, or name the portion Aaron, or Joshua, or Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, one of those special characters. Instead, the portion in which God chooses to give us the Torah in, give us the Ten Commandments in, is named after a non-Jew who later converted, Yisro, Jethro. And the obvious question is why? So, it's an interesting commentary that the sages talk about, and that is the power of listening to your messages. We have sometimes messages that are being conveyed to us through various different sources, and we're just deaf to those messages. God is telling you something, and we're just not listening. Here, the entire world saw the amazing miracles that the Jewish people experienced in Egypt, the splitting of the sea. They overcame the Amalekites. Everybody saw that in their daily newspapers. They opened up the New York Times, and they opened up the Sinai Times, and they opened up the Egyptian Herald, right? And all of these papers had a very clear description of all of these amazing miracles. And no one was moved by it. They just turned it, next page. What's the sports? What's going on with the Cairo soccer team? And they just keep on looking at their news. But there's one individual who said, you know what? There's a lot more to this. I want to see how can these people be so amazing that they experience such miracles? I want to go investigate myself. So he gets up and goes to travel to the desert and says, I want to join. I want to see what's going on over here. And he joins. And the reason our sages tell us that God gives the Ten Commandments in that same Parsha, in that same portion, is to tell us that the most important component, the most important ingredient necessary for us to succeed in learning Torah is to listen. We have to look beyond the surface, look to ensure that we're getting the full message. Not to be superficial, Not to just say, what happens, happens, and everything is coincidence, but rather, it happened for a reason. What's the reason? What's the message? Maybe God is not pleased by what I'm doing, and that's why He's giving me this punishment. Maybe God is not pleased with this investment, and He wants me out of it. Or He doesn't like the way I'm being treated at work, so He got me fired. So I get a new job. We have to look at a full picture, but we have to listen. There's a message. There's a message that God is constantly sending to us. And it's our choice whether or not we're going to listen to those messages. Some messages are pleasant, some messages are not so pleasant. But that's our choice whether or not we're going to even listen and hear them. Or we're going to just push everything off with the assumption, you know what? It's just coincidence. It's just happenstance. And that we know is not the reality. So the most important, the key component that's necessary for learning Torah is to listen. And that's why we learn specifically the Ten Commandments in the portion of Yisro. Because Yisro taught us something which was critical as a prerequisite for acquiring the Torah. So with that, my friends, we should all be blessed with a great listening ability to get the message, to understand it, to internalize it, and to improve ourselves through the process. Thank you all for joining us. And for those of you online, you're welcome to join us at the class live, 9:30, Congregation Beth Yeshurun, every Thursday morning. And thank you for joining.